whether you're on the East Coast, West Coast, or around the world. This is Coast to Coast. We had some football last night, guys.
Yeah, we did.
Yes, we did.
One fun game.
And only one of us is happy.
Well, you're extra not happy because Frankie's team's in there.
Yeah. Trust me, he was the first one to call.
There's no doubt in my mind. There's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah.
That game was pretty. It was actually kind of fun to watch, despite the fact that it was ugly and nobody could hit a kick.
Yeah. No, it was.
I mean, one out of the 5 field goals tried in that game,
Right.
so, and it wasn't that windy, really. I mean, it wasn't really a reason. The last kick kind of had some because it was snowing really hard at the end of the game, but it kind of went how I thought it would go. Stidham would be okay, but ultimately just not quite good enough.
And it's a shame because that game could have made him a lot of money.
No question.
A lot of money. Like he could have made about $150 million.
Could have been like the Nick Foles game when Nick Foles led him to the Super Bowl in Philadelphia, where he wins that Super Bowl, then got his big payday the next offseason.
Yep.
It wasn't the next offseason. It was 2 off seasons.
Oh yeah, he got
later.
his big. Yeah, he took him to the playoffs next year too. But yeah, that's how he got his big payday, was having playoff success.
So, I didn't think Stidham was going to do it, and he just made too many mistakes.
Yeah,
Denver should have. If Denver had their real quarterback, Bo Nix would have won that game.
No, I mean Denver was trying to lose.
Yeah.
Was that no, actually I'm thinking of the other game. Never mind. I'm thinking of the Rams Seahawks game. No, I thought the Buffalo game. I'm not Buffalo. I thought the Broncos game was pretty good, honestly. I mean, they kept, like you said, they kept it close, and I think, like you said, they could have won it. I mean, it's not like Drake May was playing out of his mind or anything like that. Honestly,
I mean, neither team was playing out of their minds.
Right? Exactly.
Both teams looked very beatable.
But you could tell that was whoever could run the ball the best and defend the ball the best. That's who I felt like was going to win the game. Just because, like you said earlier, the snow, I felt like the snow was an issue. But like you said, too, though, it doesn't affect the grip of the ball, so I guess that really doesn't hurt them.
Well, and that being the case, it only snowed in the second half.
Yeah.
And then when it started to snow, it snowed pretty good. But, I mean, there was no scoring in the second half.
No.
I mean, to be fair, there wasn't that much scoring in the first half.
Hey, look, when Drake May is like 86 yards in the air and no touchdowns, but no picks. But then he runs for 71 yards right behind, 65 yards, I think it was. Stevenson ran for 71, and then he got a touchdown. See, they actually, like I said, they ran the ball way better than what they threw it. So it's not like he had like an MVP caliber game.
No, and Jeremy, you're right. Like everybody knew this was going to be a defensive.
Oh, for sure.
It's not like anybody thought that this thing was going to be a high-scoring affair. We did think it was going to look a little better than it did, but
did you see when I think it was Malik Hollins was in the pregame when he was walking down the tunnel? I think he had beer.
No. So he was doing the Warriors chant. Warriors, come out and play, that one.
Yeah. But he had the beer bottles on his fingers, though. Did you see the beer bottles he had on his fingers?
You've never seen it, have you?
No, I don't think I have.
Movie. You got to see the movie.
Okay. What's the name? Okay.
The Warriors, I think is what it's called, isn't it?
Yeah, that's where the two brothers have to fight each other, right?
Something like that.
Yeah, I know the movie you're talking about.
And it's I think it's with that Sean Penn sitting there, and he's in his car, and he's got the bottles on his fingers, and he's clinking the bottles, and he's like, Warriors, come out and play. Look up the scene. You can Google that.
So that's what he was doing. Okay, now that makes sense. I was wondering why he was doing that. I'm like, man, what is he doing? But now that makes sense, what you're talking about. Okay.
Yeah, that's exactly where that is from. Yeah. That's an old movie for everybody. I ain't ruining anything for you. But it's a beautiful sight right there.
And that is not true, Brad. Ronald Acuna is got traded to the White Sox, not Ronald.
I got to mute you. Seriously.
Yeah, the Broncos couldn't run the ball worth a damn. I think I think Harvey had like only, was it 13 carries, Dustin? Like 37 or 40 yards, something like that?
Yeah. I mean,
like they had like no run game.
Like, I mean, in the process, though, like this is why a lot of people thought Drake May had a chance to be the best quarterback in his draft class, because now he's the second youngest quarterback to make it to the Super Bowl, only behind Dan Marino. And Mike Vrabel became the 7th coach in history to be a former player for a team that he took to the Super Bowl. And the last coach to do it since Gary Kubiak did it with the Broncos back in 2015. Yeah. But no, Brad, I don't know if you heard me, Bo. Ronald Acuna was not traded. His brother was traded to the White Sox. Definitely not Ronald Acuna.
Oh, yeah.
Luis
I thought ultimately, though, I thought the Broncos defense, I mean, they got to Drake, what, 5 times? I think.
Well, I mean, the Broncos defense led the NFL in sacks. Like, their defense is no slouch. That's what actually won them a lot of their games this year. Because if you look at their offense, quarters 1 through 3, Denver's offense is like number 26 in the NFL. They were the best fourth quarter offense in the NFL this year.
Yeah, well, it's the only quarter they played football, right? Which you knew eventually was going to get them. Like, you can't only play 1 quarter a game,
right?
Expect to win. I mean, and somehow they were doing it. I mean, that defense was good enough to make it work. But yeah, I mean, when you're spotting teams' points all season, eventually that's going to get you. So.
But yeah, I mean, I guess I think, you know, if you take away that one interception from Stidham, you know, I felt like, you know, like I said, he had a better game than what May had. If it wasn't for that interception, but I don't know, didn't May have a fumble? If I can remember right.
Stidham had a
fumble.
Oh no, it was Stidham. It was Stidham that had the fumble. Yeah,
okay,
never mind. I'm sorry.
Shuffle, get this away from me.
Yeah, I remember that play.
And it ended up being a backwards pass.
Yeah. Yeah, I now remember what you're talking. Yeah,
we were sitting there watching it, and we're like, "Did he really just do that?"
It really should have been a scoop and score, but they couldn't do that. Once they blew the whistle dead and threw the flag, that just became all right. Yeah. So that you got clear possession.
Yeah. No, exactly.
Yeah, I do remember that play.
Yeah, no, I mean, he should have just taken the sack, right? And that's, you know, some of that is just not playing for a long time, right? So.
But you're right, though. I mean, that would have been a great opportunity for him to get a starting nod somewhere if he'd have pulled off that win. You're right.
Brad.
Not anymore.
Yeah, Brad, what they say, but you got to see those opportunities.
Brad, it's not Ronald Acuna. Stop saying Ronald Acuna got traded. It's Luis Angel Acuna. His little brother got traded. Acuna's got 9 years left on his Braves contract. There's no way they're trading him with that deal.
Right. And we'll get to baseball. Like, I try not to jump around topics because it makes the show.
I can only steer it back to NFL so many times. You know, Dustin does his own thing. I can't help it. Him and Brad, I don't know what it is.
So there's this trick I do there, Dustin. When it has nothing to do with what we're talking about, I just ignore the comment.
Yeah. He does it to me all the time. But why don't you take freaking notes, guy? You're so smart. You should take notes.
Like we'll get to it, and I'll circle back to him. But I'm not going to disrupt the whole show for it.
So freaking rude. Just rude.
Come on,
so let's get to the other game because we're probably done talking about that. They scored three times, three scores in that entire game, all in the first half. Second half sucked. You know, the other game was actually a real game.
Yeah,
the other game was fun.
I was surprised it was that high scoring.
I
was not.
I had the over in this game.
I did too.
So
I felt like they were both going to air it out. I mean, both of them teams have aired it out. I mean, that's what they've been doing for a while now. I mean,
well, and they know each other so well. Like that's the biggest thing. Like you can love all the stats, but these teams play each other really well, no matter what. And it hasn't mattered what year. I mean, when you go back years, you could have a really good Rams team, really bad Seahawks team. It's still going to be a really tight game. Like for whatever reason, these two squads always play each other really tight. And, it didn't disappoint. One of the things that was hilarious this morning was Skip Bayless being the just general hater. It's like, oh, the better team lost and Darnold got exposed. And that cracked me up because first, if there was ever a game that Darnold was going to have that was going to kind of shut people up, it should have been this one.
And
right?
he did shut people up.
Like he goes 25 to 36 for 350 yards and 3 touchdowns, no picks.
Yeah.
What
MVP performance.
What part of that says you got exposed in that game?
And the funny thing is, too,
he actually was really smart with the football.
Yeah,
like,
and the funny thing is
where he had to, he threw it away when he needed to. Like it was probably one of the better performances we've seen out of Darnold.
Yeah.
You know who got exposed? Smith, and when he muffed up that damn return, and oh boy scooped it up. Yeah, like, hey, you want to talk about exposed? That dude needs to get some stickum on his hands.
The thing with Darnold too the thing with Darnold too is like you have the 2018 draft class. Like everyone makes a big deal with like Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, some of those quarterbacks that came from that class. Not only is Darnold the first quarterback from that class to get to a Super Bowl, but he became the first quarterback in USC history to start a Super Bowl. When you look at all the quarterbacks that have come out of USC, Carson Palmer, all these great quarterbacks that have come out of USC, Sam Darnold is the first USC quarterback to start the Super Bowl.
You know what's crazy to me? 2 teams have let him go, right? Carolina let him go. I'm just saying. I'm just going back. Well, you're right. But Carolina let him go, and Minnesota let him go. And I'm thinking to myself, both of those teams have got to be kicking themselves letting that dude walk out the door because now he's in the Super Bowl. Like you said, Bo, he didn't throw any interceptions against one of the best defenses in the league. You think they got to be? That's one. The other one is Tennessee's got to be kicking themselves in the ass for letting Vrabel walk out the door.
Tennessee's the one that I think is kicking themselves more. Carolina, I think, they're fine with Bryce Young at this point because Bryce Young got him to the playoffs this year. Granted, Dave Canales did have a big role in that because Canales did develop Bryce Young a lot better this year than the coaches before him did. So I think Carolina's fine with Bryce Young at this point. But Minnesota right now, their GM is getting crucified by the Minnesota media this morning because you had Darnold in your building, you let him go, and look what happens.
And you kept JJ McCarthy.
Yep. Minnesota's GM is the one that right now is – if he got fired today or tomorrow, I would not be surprised. Like, the way he handled that Darnold situation is a fireable offense. And look what happened. You let him walk. He goes to a Super Bowl with another team when you could have had him for a similar deal to what Seattle gave him.
Oh, no question.
I will say this, though. Both teams were able to run the ball really well. Blake Corum, no problems running that ball. Walker the third, I thought he looked pretty decent running the ball. I mean, they both did a pretty decent job running the ball, Yeah.
No, the play that worried me the most in that game is, Seattle's up. They get this stop. And huge momentum shift ends up happening because Woolen decides to chirp at the sideline, get a 15-yarder, and people were mad at it, but it was absolutely the right call to throw that flag there. Like you can't run over to the sideline and be in people's face like that. That is a 15-yarder every single time. Did his best DK impression ever, and you're just like, dude, what are you doing? You just got the stop.
Yeah.
It was going to be such a huge momentum shift. You had the potential to go up 3 scores doing that. And instead, you give him the ball back. Next play, same dude gets burned. Same dude gets absolutely barbecued. Woolen is probably one of the more frustrating corners on this team because he has moments where you're like, oh, here we go. We can see why you were the runner-up for Defensive Rookie of the Year, the year you came in. And then you have all these other plays where he's out of position, looks like you should be playing for the Cowboys. Like, you're just like, dude, what are we doing?
I love the fact that we just smacked the Cowboys a little bit on that whole statement.
You be quiet over there. You should have been in the playoffs, or you should go for the playoffs, Pax. You did. You stand at home.
I figured.
I don't know. I always get a stray, man. Cowboys always get strays.
I figured we needed to toss a stray that
Actually,
way.
you know what? Hold on. And since you said the Cowboys, let me just, and this is relevant to the game. Let me just say this, because I made this comment last night to Frankie. I said, if we would have had the D-Law that I saw last night playing with you guys, if we would have had that version of D-Law with the Cowboys, we'd have been awesome. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Maybe y'all just have a better coach, but I felt like Lawrence just played a much better game with you guys than what I saw with him with Dallas. You know?
No.
I don't know. He pooped the bed on that one play and gave him the first down. That could have ended in disaster.
I'm not saying he was perfect, but I'm just saying with the intensity and the way he was able to get to the quarterback was a lot better.
He does look like he's playing harder than he did towards the end of his tenure.
Yeah,
the Cowboys for sure. Do I think Woolen's gone next year? Honestly, I thought they were going to trade him and keep Michael Jackson.
Or Prince.
Yes. But no, so I always liked how Jackson filled in every time Woolen was either benched because he wouldn't tackle people or for whatever reason. I really thought they were going to keep him because you could have kept him for cheaper and then trade Woolen. And unfortunately, they sent him to Carolina where he had a great year. And unfortunately, Woolen actually reminds me a lot of Stephon Diggs in the way that he has that turnover ability, right? Like he can get back to a ball and absolutely get position, but then he'll be out of position a lot and get burned.
You mean Trayvon Diggs, not Stephon?
Oh, sorry, Trayvon Diggs. Yeah. I was reading a thing about Stephon's upcoming court thing this morning. So Trayvon Diggs. He plays very similar where he's a boom or bust kind of guy, right? And the problem is when it's a bust, you got him talking, getting a penalty, and then giving up a score literally the next play. You're just like, dude, come on, man. Like those types of things can cost you a game. And when you're in the playoffs, there's no tomorrow if you lose. So, I mean, you saw his teammates absolutely crushing him on the sideline. Right. So, and rightfully so, right? If you don't want to lose a championship game because you were just being dumb and not putting the team first.
Right. And then a couple more fun stats from that game too. You got Mike McDonald is going to be the fourth youngest coach in NFL history, the coach in the Super Bowl behind obviously Sean McVay. But then
is he in his second year?
Yeah, second year. Yep. He's behind Mike Tomlin, John Madden.
I thought they were both in their first year.
And then Jackson Smith and Jigba became the second wide receiver in NFL history to lead the league in receiving yards and make it to the Super Bowl the same season, joining his teammate Cooper Kupp, who did it in 2021.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I thought two of the biggest plays that really helped you was that one play that Rashid Shaheed got that 51-yarder. I felt like that was a good momentum shifter because it was such an important play at that time in the game. And I felt like Cooper Kupp, even though he didn't have a lot of yardage, I felt like the ones that he did get were pretty important. I think one of them gave him a first down. I mean, there were some plays that had some really key catches in there that I think get overshadowed a little bit that really kept you guys really in that offensive game, you know? That and I also like the way they did the screen passes.
The one holds that kept the drive going.
Yeah.
At the end of the game, like he didn't even need to get held, but I guess he caught that guy, and ultimately that guy held on to him a little too long. I will say that I was really
held on with both hands, so I mean it was an easy call,
and that's why it was an easy call to do. But the one thing I will say is that the referees didn't influence either game. I liked that.
Yeah.
It was a well officiated game, and it's rare to hear that.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like
the only one that was a major miss in the Seahawks game was the face mask.
Face mask.
Yeah, that face mask was 100% a face mask. I'm not really sure how they missed it. Outside of that, like I wasn't mad at any of the other things that weren't called, and the things they did call were absolutely the right calls.
They were forced to have to make the call. That's what I feel like needs to have happen. Ticky tack needs to go away for both sides, and you were forced to make the call. Like I said, he was forced to call that 15-yard penalty. And I thought that was absolutely ridiculous. And then it was like, then the next play, it was like under review for like an hour, it seems. Because I didn't see that play. I was watching it on my sports app.
Oh, yeah.
And it was saying the same thing for a while. And I'm like, it's a touchdown. It's not a touchdown. And the chat was going ridiculous. It was crazy. Yeah. So I couldn't read anything there either. But it was like a one play that I missed. And I'm like, what happened? Is it a touchdown? Not a touchdown? What's going on?
Yeah. No, it was a very well officiated game. And you're right. Both of them were. It was just that one face mask call that you're just like, they dodged a bullet there. But, yeah.
Yeah. But I think that was a really good game. I thought the Rams were going to win. I thought the Patriots were going to win. I would have gone 3 or 4. I definitely said it was going to be under for the Patriots game and over for the Rams game. And I would have lost my parlay on the Rams by a hook. I would have had it at 3.5.
Oh, did the line move again? Because it was 2.5 for most of the week.
It was 2.5, but I grabbed it at 3.5.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
the line moved a lot during the day. It had gone down and up a little bit.
Yeah. Well, and it was funny because the over kept dropping. So you're just like, oh, I mean, I had the over when it was 46.5 anyway. And then it dropped a little bit, but it was just like, oh yeah, it's this is definitely going to be the over.
Yeah, I made another guy a lot of money.
Yeah,
he kept like unsure on whether he should bet the over or not. I'm like, listen, these guys are going to go over. I thought it was going to be closer over. Like I thought it was going to be closer to 46. You know, but when it's to 45.5. I'm like, yeah, they're saying that this game's going to end 24-21. I don't see that. Yep. I see it more than that. So,
I thought it was going to be like 27-24 Seahawks, where they just cover because when I was looking at it, it was 2.5 for the line. So I was like, oh, you're going to just get there because of the hook. And then they blew that out. Like,
right.
There was
and
no
I really
question.
wish, you know what, one of the things that I will have to say, and this is something that's happened a lot this season, and it's a philosophical situation. With 6 minutes left in the game, you do not have to go for it to try to get the touchdown. You have plenty of time left anymore. So I think they could have kicked the field goal there, and they could have got it within 1 point.
Unless you don't trust your defense.
Well, I don't know that it wasn't like the defense was actually playing pretty well. Yeah. And I think that when you put the defense and you lock them down there, I mean, it's like, I was surprised how the run game was so effective for Seattle.
Yeah.
Especially
that
because
their running back was able to do what he did.
Well, I mean, Walker's a great running back. You know, it all comes down to whether or not, and this is exactly what we're talking about right now, Rob. You know, he's a great running back, and a lot of his time here in Seattle has been behind terrible offensive lines. So his numbers don't really indicate what he can do because a lot of the early part of his career, he was getting hit behind the line of scrimmage. Unless your name is Barry Sanders, you don't generally create a lot of yards after contact when it's behind the line of scrimmage. Right?
I like the one where he got it when he shimmied. Remember the one where he kind of shimmied and he went right and he came back left, and I think they got him like 10 yards or something like that. I thought that was a hell of a move.
He shed off like 4 different tacklers, and so he has the ability to do these things. He just needs a hole to actually run through, which that is 99% of all running backs, right? So I expected him to be fine without Charbonnet. And then Helani stepped in and, he did a good job filling in for the carries that Charbonnet would normally have. So, I wasn't mad at what we were seeing out of Helani when he was on the field. So that being said, they kind of used the running game a little more sparingly. I mean, they were letting Darnold throw that thing. So,
yeah. Like I said, what I like about that offensive line is they gave Darnold enough time to make the good reads. I know when I've seen Darnold, when he put Darnold under pressure, he's almost like Tom Brady away. When you put Tom under pressure, he doesn't look as good. But when you give Tom time, he can dissect you. And I kind of thought that's the way Darnold was doing. He was dissected when you give him time. Yeah.
And that's the one thing that we've seen consistently out of Darnold through his whole career, right? Like if you're in his face, he has a tendency to make bad decisions. That was something that he did a little differently, really just during the postseason here, is when he's had people in his face, he's actually made the smart play rather than putting the ball in harm's way, right? And so like that was a nice evolution, especially when you were looking at the fact that he struggles with the Rams anyway, right? The first 2 meetings, he threw like 7 interceptions this year. So for him to come into this and be really smart with the ball and just take the sack when it was necessary, throw it away when it was needed. He only had 1 throw really that probably should have been picked, honestly. Mm-hmm. But luckily it bounces out of the hands. But more than anything, you just saw him really kind of take that next step as far as taking care of the football,
right? Which
is if you're a fan of your team and he's your quarterback, you're like, man, I hope you can learn this piece. Like,
well, one thing I like about Seattle is you guys have taken 2 quarterbacks that honestly have not had a lot of success, except Darnold did have success in Minnesota. So that might be the outlier there. But I like the way you guys take quarterbacks, and y'all done a great job. You did it with Geno. I thought you did a great job with Geno, and you did it with Sam Darnold. I mean, that was Sam Darnold's first year there, and he's already in the Super Bowl. I mean, that's a hell of a lot to ask from somebody, in year 1. But I get it, because when he has an offensive line like he had in Minnesota, which is why Minnesota should never let his ass go, it really panned out for you guys.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Minnesota is when you look at his, people are like, oh, he melted down towards the playoffs. They also had a ton of injuries on that offensive line.
Yeah, the offensive line got him sacked 18 times against Detroit and the Rams the last 2 games of the season. Like, he got crushed against the Lions in Week 18 and then against the Rams in the divisional round.
Exactly. And it's because you had 3 different linemen that were all injured at the time.
Yeah, well, by the end of the Rams game and the division in the wild card round last year, the only starting offensive lineman we had left was our center. Like, the rest of the offensive line all got hurt in that game against the Rams. Like, what is he supposed to do as a quarterback? Basically,
no, exactly.
Out there and get crushed.
He was running for his life. So, I mean, there's not too many guys that are going to excel in that situation. But at the same time, he kept losing to the same teams. You're meeting up with one of those teams, right? So let's not pretend that there isn't some of that element of things creeping in your mind. Right.
Right.
You're like, oh, man, I struggle with this team. So had he thrown an early pick or anything like that, like this could have been a very different game because then the mental aspect comes into it and you can get in your own way.
I agree with that. Yeah.
I also felt McVay got out-coached.
Yes.
And we're seeing that more frequently. I mean, not for nothing. I know that he just brought him to the NFC Championship game.
Right.
But it's I have to imagine that if you are in part of the Rams, that you are starting to now consider looking at other coaches that I feel like he's getting out-coached too frequently. Like the Rams had enough talent. The Rams could have won that game, and McVay is the reason why they lost.
Do you remember to prove that point, what you're saying? Remember when I think it was like 4th down. It was like towards the end of the game. It was 4th down. They're on basically the 2-yard line, 1 or 2-yard line. And he called a play. And then you see him sprinting to the end zone to see if he called the right play. Of course, he didn't because then they got stopped. And I think it was 4th. I think they turned it over.
It was 4th down. It was 4th and 4. Yeah. And they were on the 6. They could have gotten a first down. But they didn't. In fact, he could have ran what it looked like for the first down.
Right.
Now, I know I know he's like 57 years old. and he's slow, but it looked like he could have made it. And I think when I think of D-Law, when you're talking about D-Law playing better, he shrugged off D-Law one time to get that first down, and he needed it.
He did. That was frustrating to watch.
I think the biggest reason why McVay's been getting out coached a lot more lately is he's losing so many assistants now, like year in and year out. Whether it's the defensive coordinator, the offensive coordinator, the passing game coordinator, whatever it is. Because if you remember early in his career, like the first 5 years he was the head coach, he pretty much had that same staff for 4 years. So, like, those guys were pretty much on the same page, like, every single year, like, what they wanted to call, what they wanted to do, this and that. Once he started to lose his assistants, that's kind of when you started to see him getting out-coached, because now it's like somebody else is calling this way differently. Somebody else on defense is calling it differently this season. Next season, same situation comes, but then you have two new coordinators calling things a little bit different in the same situation. So it does look like he's getting out-coached. But I do think a lot of it has to do with the constant turnover with the assistants that he's losing.
I mean, Campbell had the same situation in Detroit when he lost Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson. Yeah, look how they struggled. I mean, they struggled bad.
Like Dan Campbell had that same staff his first 4 years in Detroit, and that's why he was so successful right out the gate. But then this year he took a massive step back because of the assistants he lost.
I did like the play though where Stafford ran. I didn't think the guy could run all that well, but when he actually did that one quarterback sneak, and if he didn't run, they actually turned the ball over and they actually got the first down. And I was like, okay, Staff, I guess at your age you can still run a little bit.
And that was on a missed tackle because they had him behind the line, and because he was able to get through that tackle, he gets that first down. Again, also a frustrating watch because it's not like he's fast. It was like slow motion running. You're like, just tackle him. Like, it's fine. Just get him on the ground.
And looks like the defensive coordinator Chris Shula is probably going to be the Arizona coach next year too. So that'll be another assistant that McVay's about to lose too.
Yeah.
And I gotta imagine Kubiak's going to get a job somewhere on one of these openings.
Not many left.
That's the thing, is the fact that Seattle is still in this and he hasn't been allowed to talk to anybody after that bye week. We may end up keeping him for another year because the teams that are going to be left aren't exactly going to be the most desirable jobs to take over. So
the only one that's desirable, in my opinion, is Buffalo. Just because of Josh Allen at quarterback. But the question is, how long does Buffalo want to wait to name a head coach?
That one is – like, yeah, I understand you got an MVP, but that one is not super – that one's not super, like, appealing.
I should say as an offensive-minded head coach looking for a first opportunity, that would be the most desirable spot left because the Raiders, they don't have much of a direction offensively right now. And then you have the Cardinals.
That's where I disagree is I get that you get the MVP, right? Cool. Except you have a GM that has been absolved of any accountability.
Yeah. Like all of it.
Right. And, for whatever reason, if Josh Allen isn't amazing, the whole team falls apart. So when you're looking at the Raiders end, you get the number one pick, right? So basically you'd go get Mendoza. Right? You're gonna have some time. You're gonna have some latitude to like do some stuff. Whereas in Buffalo, you better win tomorrow. And then you have some talent on that roster and the most cap space of any team in the league, right? They have over $100 million in cap. So
I put all that money in the trenches.
Amazing. It's not that it's an amazing job, right? But none of the ones left are. It's just you're looking at the Buffalo side of there's elements on that team. It's a playoff caliber team, but that front office is a problem,
right?
Yeah, and I'll tell you, with the Raiders, if I was the coach for the Raiders, like the new coach going in for the Raiders, I would consider trading off that first pick for a haul.
Well,
somebody will give you a haul.
The other thing is trading Max Crosby for a haul. If you want to keep that number one pick and then still acquire picks and get a haul, you could trade Max Crosby for probably two additional picks plus one or two players to add to your roster, similar to how the Bears got DJ Moore. They gave Carolina the number one pick for Bryce Young, and they got DJ Moore and a haul of picks that they used to get Caleb Williams, Kyle Monangai, Luther Burden, and a lot of the pieces that they've added the last 2 years. I could see the Raiders doing the same thing with Crosby, where it's like, all right, the relationship with you, Crosby, the bridge is burned. It is what it is. We'll trade you. We will get another first-round pick this year. We'll get another first-round pick and a second-round pick next year, and we'll take 1 or 2 players from wherever you're going.
And that's the issue right there, though, because Max Crosby is already, he's in his later 20s. So, and the Raiders are in sort of a rebuild. You got to imagine that. So now, if you get Mendoza, you got to put money into that trench, his offensive line, probably that defensive line. So I would get rid of him, get Crosby out of there, because you want younger players. Get those picks, like you're saying, Bo, and just put it into your trenches and rebuild those trenches, and then go from there. Because if you don't put money in that trench, I don't care who you get, you're still going to kill your quarterback.
And do without Mendoza right now. You'd have to do without the quarterback right now, which means that you are playing this game this next year with the thought that you're not complete yet.
Yep.
That means somebody has got to start. In essence, you are creating the new culture for a team that's not there yet.
No, exactly.
And you're getting, it's like, how do I put this? It's like the five monkeys that are going up to get the banana and they get squirted with the hose. You got to get everybody trained so that they don't go running up the ladder for the banana.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's what you do. And then you bring in a quarterback that can lead the team. Especially now, like I said, if you can trade off that first pick and get 3 picks, which is what the going rate is now for that first round pick, is 3 first rounders plus.
Yeah.
So
then you can always get. I guess you get Arch Manning then at that point, would you? I mean, maybe that's the guy you're going to target is Arch Manning.
I don't know that I'd want him. I feel like that's a headache of a family.
Well, not only that, but I mean, I want to see him actually do something on a football field first. Like everybody's like, he's going to be a presumptive number 1. Well, he hasn't played like one, so let's.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, that's why I said maybe. Yeah, because at the end of that season, though. Well, at the end of that season, the Arch started looking better. You know that. I mean, look, he was throwing for 300-400 yards.
But it's not like he's on a scrub team. There was no reason for him to be playing as bad as he was. So, and it's not like he wasn't around the team before that. Like he had a couple of starts the year before when Ewers was hurt. So for him to play as bad as he did, like I'm not sold on Arch Manning being the guy, right? Like I want to see some stuff out of him. And Rob, technically yes, but no. You would not do this. You have the number 1 scoring defense in the league.
Yeah, like, you don't need to put your money there.
I mean, there's no reason to hurt your own cap space to go get a guy that, would he make you better? Of course, right? Max Crosby's a beast, but you'd have to give up way too much to go get him in a unit that has already been excellent.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I'd probably, if I was Seattle, I'd probably want to go after offensive linemen just so you have some depth. So when Cross or whoever goes down, you got their plug-in. So I'd probably put either offensive line or defensive line depth, and that's probably where I'd put my money if I was Seattle.
Absolutely. And so here's the line, and so I appreciate Rob throwing this in text for us. So the Seahawks are a 3.5. There are a couple of books that have them as a 4.5. So
I just say that dropped from 4.5. It was 4.5 from the moment. I checked it the moment that the Seahawks won. It was 4.5 and 46.5.
Well, and so like FanDuel still has it at 4.5. So it just depending on the sports book, it's 4.5 or 3.5. The rest of the numbers have been the same though. The money line has been the same. The over under at 46.5 has been the same on all the sports books. So it's just the spread that is a little bit different. And of course, you can bet with us. By using the QR code right here, you can get any one of these betting lines that you see on the screen, up to 125% of your first 3 deposits, 10% bet guarantee. And so 3.5, 4.5 feels like it might be a little too much.
Yeah.
I feel like you guys going up against the New England. I know Freddie's not going to want to hear me say this, but I feel like you guys got a way better team. I still am not 100% on this New England band. I mean, they got a great team, but I don't think that their defense is better than yours, and I damn sure don't think their offense is better than yours. Maybe the running backs, only because they got 2 of them, but even then, Henderson didn't do anything against Broncos. It was all whatever he did, and there wasn't much running.
Yeah, so like obviously I have Seattle here. They're the more balanced team, right?
Yeah.
But you can't overlook the Patriots. The Patriots have whatever you want to say about the competition they faced, right? Easiest schedule in a decade, and the teams they've faced in the playoffs have been hurt and whatever. I get it. At the same time, they are a very well coached team, and they're all young. They don't know they're not supposed to win.
So one thing I know about the Patriots, they've gone against 3 top 5 defenses. I mean, Houston had a great D. Broncos have a great D. I mean, they played against good defenses. I just don't know that their defense can stop your passing and run game. That's where I think the hidden magic is.
So the Seahawks will be one of the better offenses they've faced all year.
Right.
So that's where it'll be a challenge. They absolutely have faced some good defenses, but the defenses they faced were incomplete teams where the offenses were either wildly inconsistent or just not that good, right? So this time around, they're going to face one of, the top offenses and the top defense. Like that's going to be a tough out.
Yeah. Jackson is going to be the one. Jackson, whatever his last name is.
Smith and Jigba,
Yeah, Smith and Jigba, not Jackson and Jigba. Yeah,
just call him JSN. That's what I do.
Yep.
Yeah, he's going to be the difference.
Yeah,
he can get himself open.
Yes.
Very similar to the way Nakua can.
Yes.
And that's going to be the biggest difference. I feel like that they haven't played up against an elite wide receiver and a quarterback who can get him the ball.
Yeah.
And I think that you're going to be able to get over the top stuff. If he can make sure that they hold off that rush, because they do like the blitz and they do like to get in on the quarterback and pressure the quarterback. If you can hold off that rush and you can wait 4 seconds for him to throw the ball, you're going to be able to beat them downfield a lot.
Yeah, well, especially because if you saw, like you saw in this game, I should say, is they started to use Shaheed in the offense a little bit more. And it's funny because in some ways it's a little frustrating because they're using him like they used Percy Harvin back in the day, whereas a lot of gadgety plays and end arounds. But, you saw him in the very first part of the game just tear the top off for, 55 yards. And they didn't go back to it. That was the only thing that was crazy to me, because if you have a guy like Shaheed that can tear the top off, well, that stretches the defense, makes it easier for guys like Kupp and JSN to get open. So I don't know why they don't use him more than they do, but Shaheed's so fast.
Yeah, he's fast.
Safety has to stay with him, right? You can't let a guy beat you deep. So I'm surprised they haven't used him more, but they used him more in this game than they have most of the season. And if that trend stays, true, then you may see Shaheed have an expanded role in the Super Bowl. I also like that they got Jake Bobo going in this game that they didn't a lot of this year either. Obviously, he was hurt for part of it, but yeah.
That's what I thought. I'll be honest. I thought that they actually locked down their playbook some. There were so many things that were working against the Rams that was a surprise to them. I think it was a surprise that it was working. Like the running game was working much better than I think that they even expected.
Yeah.
And I feel that once that stuff started to work, they hindered all this stuff because, listen, Denver has got the same problem. Although Denver's got 2 better corners than New England does, Denver has that same problem that if you start to beat them deep, they cannot catch up. Like they are good cover, but they got to keep you in front. Once you get behind them, you can beat them big.
Right.
And that's the same thing with New England. New England's got to stay close with them. So I feel like that you're going to see they stopped doing those big plays because they wanted to save them. And it's going to be, you're going to see 2 or 3 big plays in the Super Bowl. I have Seattle winning again. I do have early start says Seattle wins this game.
Yep.
I want to call it an under, but I think Seattle's going to win big. I kind of think that this could be one of those situations where that New England feels like they're in quicksand. That they start off, they get that first touchdown on the scripted plays, and then they think that they can figure it out, and then Seattle's defense locks them in, and you're going to see a score like 38-7, 38-10. Super Bowl.
But even with the Rams, they came out 10-3 against the Rams. I mean, they came out to a pretty good start. I feel like Christian Gonzalez can only cover, one guy, right? So I think like he's going to be probably put on the jig book because that's their top guy. But who's going to cover Kupp and who's going to cover Shaheed? And then who's going to take care of Walker? Because I feel like they're going to do a lot of screen passes to Walker like they did against the Rams. And when they did that, Walker got a lot of yards off those screen passes. That's one of the biggest things I think. And let's be honest, they got Stephon Diggs and they got Booty. And that's really all they really have. I mean, they don't really have too much after that. So I feel like you guys are going to be able to cover their top receivers way better than they can cover yours because you got so many ones that you can go to.
New England is going to have some success is they're going to have Diggs running some deeper routes. And what we saw in this game against the Rams is that the linebacking core has struggled to actually tackle.
Yeah.
So guys like Hall, they'll put a shoulder on you and they'll try and punch the ball out. What they're not doing is wrapping up. So you can get quite a bit of yards after catch across the middle against this linebacking core. And so, obviously they're going to be watching film. So especially when you think of the coach they have, that is very disciplined coach. So they're going to watch a lot of film. You're going to see that middle of the field can be exposed against this Seahawks team. Now, if the Seahawks defense gets on top of you early, yeah, you're right. It'll probably be a lopsided game.
Yeah.
If you can get some drives going where you're exposing the middle of this field, which is then this is probably going to be a tight game to the finish. I still think Seattle's the better team overall, but I think at that point it could be a very close game.
What did you guys think about when it was like, I don't know, it was like 30 seconds left. I think it's all they had left in the game. And they took that deep shot, but they took it, like you said, down the middle of the field. Wouldn't it have been better for them just to stay along that sideline so you can stop the clock?
It wasn't open. So they covered all of the out routes. They were like, yeah, if you're completing a pass, it's in the middle. And so they had to do that. He was trying to get out of bounds. You just quite get there. But that was the only play that was available to him. So Seattle had perfect defense on that. Had he been able to get out of bounds, then they made just enough yards to be able to throw that Hail Mary, hope for the best, right? But you had to do a 15 to 20 yard chunk play because Stafford doesn't have the arm to throw it 85 yards.
Right. And I thought that part where Kyron Williams went out of bounds and then came back in bounds, and then tried to catch the ball, which obviously gave him a loss of down. I thought that was another one that kind of hurt them because they really needed that first down and they kind of lost it on that.
This just goes back to what I initially said about a half hour ago, is that with 6 minutes left in the game, you cannot go for it. You have to kick the field goal and kick off again.
Exactly.
Because it's too much time left. They had all 3 timeouts. I understand that you're within 30 yards and you feel like you got to go for it, but there's no need to go for it because you can get the field goal and keep it within 1 point. And then in a worst case scenario, you could have them try to kick an 80-yard field goal. You know what I mean? It might be ridiculous, but at least there it's like, okay, we're going to give it the shot. You know what I mean?
Well, especially because the Rams had just shut down the Seattle offense. So it's not like they weren't having success stopping Seattle at times, right? Like there were multiple drives where they got him off the field, and then there were some that they let him score. Like it was back and forth, but they just got done stopping Seattle the drive before. So
and you keep the momentum on your side. Okay, guys, we got 6 minutes left. We got a sense of urgency here. We got to stop them again and go down and try to kick another field goal. Like that's where I felt like that's where Sean McVay outthought himself or outcoached himself. But this has been a common occurrence in the NFL in general. Do not take the points, lose the game.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, they had I think it was 800 or 900 yards of total offense between the two teams. I mean, that's a hell of a lot of yardage. That was a hell of a lot. And and I felt like you said, Stafford threw for a chunk, and so did Darnold. They both were. It was like watching 2 gunslingers out there. So, I mean, I'm giving them props. That was a hell of a lot of yardage, and that's kind of what I expected was going to be a lot of yardage because they're 2 high-powered offenses that look a lot alike in some ways. you know.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, again, they square off really well. There was a reason that their 2 meetings before were decided by 1 point. I mean, you know, it's these teams, they just play each other well.
You guys,
out of the 3 games, it was 5 points that decided all 3 games.
Yep.
Meebus the Beavis. They should have kicked
Seattle
that
won
thing.
by 2, the Rams won by 1, and then this was by 4.
Yep. Yeah. It's the other way around. The Rams won by 2, Seattle won by 1. But yeah.
So then it was only 3.
Yeah, I mean, it's
3 points decided all 3 games.
No, you had it right. It was 4 points. They won 31-27. You were right. They won by 4.
Yeah.
But I'm counting the entire season.
He's adding all of them together.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I got you.
Are you guys surprised with McCarthy going to Pittsburgh?
Yes. This is I will tell you like this. When the Catholic Church chooses a pope, they usually like to choose a young pope so that he can get some longevity. Mm-hmm. Ever since they decided to go with an older pope, because popes live longer now since John Paul II, when he lived for like forever. Yeah. And they started to go with older popes because they don't want them to be around for a long time. I feel that, that was a mindset. This is the same mindset of the Steelers. The Steelers are choosing an older coach, and that means they're going to have to replace him in a shorter amount of time. And it's something that they don't typically do. And that's going to be very interesting. I wonder who they're going to bring in as his assistant coaches, because I feel like that's going to be grooming the next coach is what they're going to be doing here.
I just love, as soon as it was officially announced, I mean, obviously he's a Pittsburgh guy and, he's had success in the league and all of that. So, I mean, it's not that it's necessarily a horrendous coaching position, but at the same time, I'm just laughing at all of the Steelers fans that are like, fire Tomlin. They're like, we hired McCarthy. They're like, wait.
Wait, what'd you do? No,
maybe I liked Tomlin.
But honestly though, I was telling you earlier about, I feel like the Steelers have to have a losing season so they can get a good draft pick, so they can actually get a quarterback and not a bunch of gap field quarterbacks, which is what I feel like they've had since Roethlisberger. Is just a bunch of gap field quarterbacks, which goes to Tomlin's credit. The fact that he could keep them winning with gap field quarterbacks was amazing. But I think it's time that they actually get a legitimate quarterback that they can groom and raise.
Well, they're going to have to, and you're right. They're going to be bad this year anyway, because they're going to lose part of that super expensive defense that underperformed anyway. You don't have an answer at quarterback. Like the offensive line is so terrible. There's so much wrong with that team.
Right.
That, it didn't really matter who was going to be in there. Even if Tomlin stayed, you were going to be probably having a losing season next year.
Then you have Jonathan Gannon taking the Packers defensive coordinator spot.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense.
Yeah. Did you see where Bobby Slowick got the offensive coordinator job with Miami, or he got promoted up?
Dolphins.
That's the one I want to see. I want to see how Miami's offense plays with Bobby Slowick, because if he can generate something out of that, like he did with Houston, in that first year, that would be amazing to see. That's
why at this point Miami's favored to get Malik Willis.
Oh, really?
Because Malik Willis
Gannon's a good coordinator, so I didn't hate that pickup for them.
Because Malik Willis is very similar to what CJ Stroud is when it comes to mobility and the way he plays.
Right.
The GM of the Dolphins is familiar with Malik Willis because he had him in Green Bay. And Jeff Hafley, too. Jeff Hafley had a scheme against him every day at practice being the defensive coordinator. So Malik Willis going to the Dolphins is starting to make a ton of sense for like a bridge quarterback right now.
Are you saying that Bobby Slowick can't raise the expectation of Tua to a better?
They don't want Tua.
It seems a little weird to go after Willis just because of all of the guys they have in that room. Like I don't
think Hafley wants Tua.
Well, I'm sure he doesn't, but his contract says
most of the fan base doesn't like Tua right now. So
yeah, but I mean his contract is way too expensive to get out of for this next season. So he's there. And then you have Ewers, which was your rookie, right? So you're not going to dump him. And then you have
Zach Wilson's a free agent, though. He was only a 1-year deal.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I thought he had a 2-year deal.
There's a team option for the second year. They won't pick up that option.
Unless Bobby thought he could develop him, then they might, because he'd be cheap and they could develop him. But if you don't think you can develop him, then yeah, it would make sense to let him go.
Who is your passing game coordinator? So
Kubiak.
Kubiak's the offensive coordinator.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah,
I have a feeling that's who the Eagles are targeting. Your passing game coordinator for an offensive coordinator's gig. He's a young kid, from what I understand. He's like 28, 29.
Jake Peets.
Is he young?
He's a young kid. I'll look him up quick. Jake Peets he's got 11 years of experience, 14 years in the NFL, so he can't be that young.
No, it can't be that young then. And that's not who I'm thinking of then. There was a young kid that they've been targeting. Maybe he's on the Rams.
Well, they interviewed Declan Doyle, who's 28. He's the Bears' offensive coordinator.
Right. And to come here so they can call plays.
Well, they got to get it right, because Sirianni can't let that offense keep going through this turmoil that they've been going through. You know what I'm saying? They've got to get that offense figured out at some level.
That gets people.
And that's what I'm talking about here. I think that this is a great job for a young coordinator. I was thinking that they were going to go after somebody who's going to live in the position, and I don't think that that's what they do. I think that they find young guys. Hey, listen, I wouldn't mind winning every other Super Bowl if that's the way it goes, but I don't trust the fact the guy who's never done it before. That's the problem I have. However, if that's the concept that you're doing, I want somebody who is innovative and hungry, who's going to play Madden with this team. That's what I want. I don't want somebody who is ultra conservative and doesn't know what he's doing. I mean, there are reports coming out now that our offensive coordinator was using ChatGPT to make plays.
Oh my God, that's fucking hilarious. That is awesome.
Yeah,
hey Siri, do I run it now or do I let it go? Working with ChatGPT.
He was just busting.
Hold on, please.
For Dummies book.
Yeah, Pegs, the guy you're thinking of is Nate Scheelhaas from the Rams, who's 35.
Yeah.
But he's actually interviewing for the Browns head coaching job tomorrow.
Oh God.
Okay.
Hey, real quick, do you think that Sirianni is on the hot seat, Pags, or do you think he's okay?
If there is a failure next year, that's where he might be.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's going to depend on. So the one thing I'm surprised about with Sirianni is that his antics are accepted in the locker room. And if the fans are having a hard time accepting some of these antics, I am one of those guys that doesn't care. If your team likes you, then they're going to play either way. And when they just won a Super Bowl, it's like, listen, we're not the Chiefs, where the Chiefs have been in 4 Super Bowls in a row and now they're exhausted and then they didn't play well and just everything went against them this year. This team is still going to be intact, a lot. And we have enough cap space to be able to do anything we want to do. I mean, it's nothing that's going to hurt us in any way. We're not going to lose any of the defense yet. Our offense is still going to be, for the most part, intact. And I think you're going to have a healthier Saquon Barkley, who understands now that he has to put in all the work in the offseason to be as good as he was in the previous year. I think that there are certain, I think that, Jalen Hurts, he still wants to be Michael Jordan great. And that means that takes a lot of work to do. And I think that he's going to put in that work because he's got nothing else to do. He's got everything riding on this. I'm going to be great. If I am going to be great, I have to do this. And he's got those types of people telling him, you can't stop working. You have to keep going and going and going. And I think that we'll be back next year. I think that you'll see the Eagles be contending for the Super Bowl again because there's just too good of a team.
Yeah.
I need more offensive line. I need more offensive line.
Yeah, the three favorites for the Eagles OC position right now are Zach Robinson, who was the Falcons OC the last 2 years and worked under McVay as their OC for a couple of years. Jim Bob Cooter, who has an Eagles connection. He was with the Colts. And then Mike Kafka.
Yeah, Kafka is going to get a few phone calls, right?
Yeah, so, I think.
And, Frankie, real quick, why would you play it after the Super Bowl? Well, when the Pro Bowl was good, it was played after the Super Bowl.
And people that actually went to the Super Bowl, or people that got invited to the Pro Bowl that were actually in the Super Bowl actually showed up instead of being like, well, us 9 are not going anymore because we have the Super Bowl next week.
Exactly. Plus, they played football.
In Hawaii. It was in Hawaii. Everybody got a full expense paid trip to Hawaii. Nobody wants a full expense paid trip to Orlando.
Yeah, nobody wants a nobody
expense paid trip to San Francisco. LA. Yeah, LA.
I know it's a small world after all, but nobody wants to be in Orlando. Nobody.
I tell you what, if they switched it over to Dubai or something like that, everybody would be back in again.
I don't know though. If you give me an all expense pass to Epcot, and if you throw the food and drinks in, I might actually consider that.
Well, that's you.
We're gonna go. We're playing along. Really trailed off in the last 2 seconds, but be sure to like and subscribe, and we will check out tomorrow. Take it easy, everybody.
See ya.